I'm sorry, excuse me, Teresa, I'm being yelled at. Sorry, hang on 1 second. I have to leave the table. So I'm doing it. Okay. So now, I'll try to speak a little quieter, okay? Okay. Sorry, Teresa, I'm back.
That's all right. We will probably be interrupted by my children off and on throughout. So
Perfect.
it's just how it goes, right? That's just how it goes.
That's how it is.
And yes, we make the best of it. Anyway.
Exactly.
So yeah, so it's been very, very exciting because now I have a whole summer of painting to look forward to. It's such a gift to just tend to the garden and tend to my painting because those are the priorities right now for me. And then,
oh my God, I love it. Tend to my garden, and it's like simplicity and complex at the same time.
Right. It doesn't have to be more than that. Like, it's okay to just do one thing. Speaking of interruptions.
Oh, hello. Hi, cutie pie. Get that face. Oh.
Yeah. Your back hurts now? Yeah, no kidding. And you have chocolate all over your face. Did somebody make you a chocolate cup?
Yeah.
Yep, I bet she did.
Mom, can we play? I was wondering if you would watch one Sweeney Rock.
I'm going to be with, yes, we can watch that later on tonight, but I'm going to be with Jen for a little bit, painting and drawing.
Okay, and I'm going to go downstairs to play with Daddy.
Fabulous. Can you close the door? Hold on.
Oh. You're right. I thought he did close the door. It's great.
There's an option there. There shouldn't have been an option there.
That's right. There you go. I know about this option. All
right. So we have two choices. I think we can focus on, because we've been focusing on the peony, we can focus on the peony. We can look at the colors and we can think about the layering. The other thing that we can do is we can talk about underpainting. And I have a plant in the studio that I can take you over to the painting section, and we can do, we can look at an existing plant. I think there's a difference. I think energetically there's a difference between looking at a live plant, which I've never done except for yesterday. I mean, I haven't really studied. I don't know much about nature. I think it's this brilliant kind of entity that is both ruthless as well as this right, these amazing things that are happening. But we were watching the One Strange Rock, the Will Smith movie, and he was talking about how the roots of any plants or trees is going to absolutely erase us, which is so kind of super exciting. That it actually can break rock, it can break through, roots will break through almost anything. And for me, I've always loved the sort of mutation between structure and this tree thing growing or like through it. I didn't really think about that's breaking the house, but that's fine too, right? I mean, I think philosophically that's great. I think we don't need to continue. I mean, I think it will form and evolve into different things, but I don't think this as a structure needs to stay. Why should it?
Exactly.
So,
and it works. It works. And then you look at the virus. The virus is a natural thing.
It is. It is
ruthless. It just is looking for what it's looking for, a host.
Right.
Damage and moves on.
Right. And we also talked about in the crit that, corona's natural. Right? Right? It's nature.
It is. It absolutely
is. It's fascinating. It really is fascinating.
There's a whole philosophy in the Hindu of Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. And Rajas is the destructive force, and Tamas is sort of in the middle, and Sattva is the kind, peaceful, if you like, force. But there's this whole cycle of death and destruction constantly going on around us with everything. absolutely everything. The things we can't even see, we constantly are killing, and things want to kill us. Constantly.
Right. Well, and the whole killing, right? The whole dying is sort of this in between state. I think the paintings are coming from a place of wanting to really penetrate and understand that our bodies are going to be penetrated by plants, and that we get the good, in a good way, to understand that that's the cyclical nature of things, and we're going to be hosts, and all that stuff.
It's so interesting when you think of it that way, because we hold ourselves out to be so special, and in the end, we're just part of the cycle. We're just headed back there, and we're just giving back. If you've got the right casket and it's not lead lined, you're giving back everything, right?
And if it is lead lined, if it's all, what exactly happens to the things that we want to preserve for who knows what reason? Like, what happens to the things that don't decompose, that they're just sitting there, or what's happening with them?
They'll just stay forever unless you get a root of a tree that is able to be strong enough to pop right through, which doesn't always happen. Yeah, into a mummified state. Very interesting.
So it's so strange. Like, why would you want to preserve that state?
I think you have to have a certain belief system somehow. There's something you believe that somehow you could come back in some strange way. Or perhaps just the ultimate fear of complete annihilation is too much. It's too overwhelming, I don't know. Just give me a cardboard box, if you're going to bury me. That's about all we need.
There was a mushroom suit. Have you heard about the mushroom suit?
Yes.
Do you love the? I love the mushroom suit. Yes, eat all of my thingies. And detoxify my body. Throw me in a mushroom suit and throw me in the ground. I
know, mushrooms are pretty amazing. Everything is. Anyway. So I want to do that. I want to go to nature. I want to go to nature.
Do you want to go to nature? Do you want to go with me to the garden?
I want to do the garden thing. I have a live plant behind me. Should I put it in front of me?
Let's go grab the live plants. Yes. I don't know.
Of course, it's a complicated live plant.
It's fine. Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you my plant. Ooh, this is so pretty. Sounds like a little woodland creature, I think.
I love the woodland creature. I think if you go directly on the top, I might take a different one. Yeah, I think that kind of perspective where you can see sort of where the ground is, and draw from that, and think about how that plant has grown and the structure of that comes, right? That force that has to be down in the plant, rooting it, and being brown in soil. And then from that, these shoots of life coming through. So when you're looking at this plant, there is a direct thing between light and dark. There's a direct, the light and dark still pervade. So just like in our peony drawing, right? Just like in this, there's going to be this need to have dark and light. And the light will be in relation to the dark. It's always in relation. I mean, it's always, when I was looking at that tree branch yesterday, it's the relationship between the branch and all the air that is in the atmosphere that it's in. It's fun. It's we think that these are isolated things, and because they're plants and they're in a pot, we think that they're somehow separate in our houses. But then, of course, they're not. The same thing we were talking about. It's carbon, it's us. It's both destructive and beautiful. Should we get going?
Let's do it.
Okay. Do you have colored pencils?
Oh, so not paint.
Did you have a canvas?
I have paper with a tooth on it.
Okay.
That?
That's totally great. I'm just going to take the camera and the thing, and we're going to move to the painting.
Okay, I think I'm going to grab a glass of yours.
So I'm going to be looking. Jen, so what do you usually paint on? What surface are you working on top of? Can you squeeze all the paints out onto a palette?
Yes, I have a little plastic palette that I can
Okay.
put that on.
When you get home, or if if you have a frame with glass on it, I find that glass surface is a really great palette material because you can use the palette knife and scrape it all off, and it's very durable. It's great because it can just lift up the particles, right? And the particles in painting, especially, it's all about how many. Do you have oil paints or acrylics?
These are acrylic.
Okay, perfect. But it's about picking up those particles and knowing how many particles are going in there, right?
Okay.
So we won't get into color theory this time around. We're looking at the form. But in painting, it's about the right brushstroke and the right color. So color theory will eventually be part of it. And actually, color theory can be quite exciting. So I have this little gorgeous guy who sprouted. I put the spider plants in and had these bulbs at the bottom, but they weren't doing much. And suddenly they grow these amazing red shoots and become this gorgeous thing.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to be looking at that. But same thing from the kind of this perspective of looking at how the shoots come out, how they kind of, from the ground, they have to be grounded in that root and that soil and then exploding up. So gorgeous. It's such a strange, I don't even know what these things are. I don't know what kind of bulbs. My dad, I think, gave this plant to me and it was nearly dead.
Yeah.
And then things just started to do its thing. All right.
Okay.
And show me the tools that you have.
Oh, so I have these acrylic paints.
Excellent. Okay,
And then
perfect.
I have these paintbrushes. But none of they're all cheap paintbrushes, but they seem to be okay.
You have a great setup.
Okay. And then I have this paper. This is my palette.
Perfect. Perfect. So we could get into a little bit of color theory. We might get into that. You want your light colors, your dark colors, and you want your browns if you have them. If you can take out like a burnt sienna, you can take out all your browns as a ground for it. If you don't have browns pre-mixed, you can also take the 3 primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, will always make brown. When you are mixing, and this is something with the color theory, when you're mixing, think about the yellow is your lightest, weakest color. So you always want the most amount of yellow first, like the most amount of particles, and teeny bits of red and blue that get added to that. Because red and blue are such power colors, they will definitely affect the yellow. If you did it the opposite way, where you took yellow and added it a little bit to the red and the blue, it wouldn't make much of a difference. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So the
All
only
right.
sort of brown that I have is raw sienna.
Raw sienna. Sounds good. I think that's a reddish one, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Great. Let's start with that ground. Actually, I have sienna. I like raw sienna.
What is that?
Sienna. Yeah. I'm going to try burnt sienna.
And you're using oil?
I am using oil. Yep.
Yeah, the thing with the acrylic is the way it dries so quickly.
What's with the oil?
The acrylic dries very quickly.
Right. Wow. Right. But on the other extreme is that the oil, of course, never dries, right? So.
Right.
So you can create your own mixture too. You can create from. I just had a little black on my color is all one thing. It just changes. So if you can think about it as one thing, in order to make a brown, I had a little black on my palette. I added some yellow ochre and and that turns it a bit of a greeny color. So whenever you have a complement like green, if it's going a bit green on you, you add its complement, which is red. And actually, these things are better written down. So I'm gonna send you a cheat sheet with color theory in it. And I'm sure you of all people, you understand color and complements better than most people.
I love it all.
It's awesome. Okay.
Oh, what's going on? Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. It's just the camera that's not
Oh.
being very stable with me. Yeah. Okay. So you want to think about your brown. You want to start with your brown. And I work two ways. I work adding the darks and then taking the negative space and thinking about the light around the subject. I think I want that plant in this little painting because it seems like there's like some shoots that are coming from this kind of center. I'm not going to be able to go into the roots unless I put it in that bottom painting. So I'm just going to focus on more of the shoots that are coming out. But if I were to start with a brown ground, it would be somewhere over here. And I will come in with a brown over here where the start of this plant is going to be.
Mm-hmm. And are you starting with a flat edge brush? Or?
So I have round brushes. There's a variety. You have flat brushes, you have round brushes. The round brushes that could come, we talked about this, I think, a little bit. There's also these Filibert. They're flat, but they are tapered at the edge. So those are really nice to use. Line you want for line brushes, you want for lines, whereas round brushes you want for space. So if you're creating the lines and the structure of the plant from linear, and I think they are very linear, I'm going to be using some of those. But for the air and the space around them, I'm going to be using these round brushes that kind of go in a spiral fashion so that it creates that sense of the particles kind of spreading out and having a bit of atmosphere.
Okay.
You should play music sometimes.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so what are you doing, Teresa? So how should I start it? What should I do?
I think setting the ground or setting up particles for where the ground is going to be. Okay. So you can look at your plant. I think there's an understanding that the plant goes in and down. And so I'm going to take that ground and I'm going to really kind of push. And even though I'm at the edge here, I'm going to push them down so that the particles go down. I think for teaching and learning purposes, it would be good to have a white background for my painting, but because this is not, you're not my typical beautiful student. You are my extraordinary.
And I need to just be the typical student.
Anyway. Okay, I'm going to push that in, and then I'm going to think about, I need a contrasted color that's going to come and pop out. And because I don't have a mix of that particular color, I'm still going to do it in light. Okay, I'm going to focus on a light color, whichever one I have, and right now I have this kind of turquoise color. I'm going to neutralize it. It's much lighter than the ground or the darkness of the brown. And I just want to put some of those shoots in, especially since they're so small. And you want to paint the plant the same way that the plant is growing.
Okay.
So if you start out with a shoot, it's going to be coming out somewhere here. And then, of course, you have to think about proportion, scale from your perspective. Again, it's the same thing as the hand. You want to think about keeping your eye in the same place and keeping your hand, your position on the plant. So the way that you look at the plant in the same space. Thankfully, the plant won't move on you like our hand could potentially do. So if you can just focus your attention on your perspective of the plant. For me, it's standing up on top. So that means this long line will be a bit foreshortened. It'll be a little smaller before I get to the pod somewhere. And I always, when I'm painting, I always think about not knowing, right? And
Yes.
and I understanding that I don't know and that it's okay not to know exactly where the edges are. I'm going to come in and later find them to the extent that I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that I don't know, that I'm nature as much as I can be, and that's good enough.
That's good enough. And what is your color choice for doing the outline of the plant?
So I'm just taking a light contrasted color. I have this sort of pseudo looking face over here. And I want this plant to be coming out from, I want actually there to be a relationship between this kind of figure that is sort of there, but it's, it's very subtle. It's very much abstract. And then these shoots to be coming out here and then back there with the green. I will come in with local colors later, but right now I just want to see light and dark.
So you're just blocking it in.
Yes, so there's that one little leaf going up.
Okay.
And I think this one as it comes is going to be going directly in or through this person's head. I'm not quite sure yet. All right, so I have that one and that one. And then there's these side ones. So I'm not even changing. Obviously on the plant, there's light that's hitting it, the form, and it's changing. It's making it lighter or darker. I'm not worried about that just yet. I'm just thinking about the form. It's a whole form, so I can think about it as one. I don't have to break it down into pieces. On top, when you start doing detail, then you can think about how, of course, on the plant, light hits it, and it does all kinds of things where you have dark leaves, you have light leaves. But to simplify for yourself, what is this thing? It's so interesting and reflects all of our own thinking, right? It's not about, we don't really know what the plant is, I don't know how to define it maybe, but we can start, I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to go into the philosophy of it. Let's paint.
Okay, sounds good.
If you have some nice music and you'd like to put it on, it would certainly be lovely to hear.
Okay. Yeah, I think Juliana and I are sharing the space. So
yeah. Okay.
Keep the peace a little bit here.
Have sounds of the wind outside.
Do you like to chat when you paint, or do you like to just be quiet and paint?
I always have music playing. And usually,
but I mean, like chit chat. Do you like to talk, or do you prefer? No, Juliana, we don't talk to each other that way. That's not okay. Okay. All right.
Sometimes I like the quiet.
Yeah.
Especially if I have children.
Yeah.
So for me, when I'm painting the plant, it's a bit different than the usual practice where it's about putting layering on and putting ground on. Now that I have a ground already, it's about sort of looking at the best way to turn and twist that brush to make the particular petal or lift it off so that it makes a peak appear. So when I'm moving my brush to create a petal, let me just get a sketchbook. So this is where brush stroke comes in handy too. You can practice with your brushes, putting that mark down. Sorry, I don't know if oh, here we go. And then, making it thicker so you can spin it, and then lifting off to get the shape of the petal. So it's more of a meditation of how you think that plant or that shape grew, and practicing. It is like a meditation. Like if you want it to twist and turn, or if it comes down, you want to follow that kind of pattern. And each brush will, of course, have its own kind of petal looking mark. So you can experiment with multiple brushes. As I'm painting with a round brush, I generally tend to push down, get a bit wider in the middle, and then lifting off. There's some brilliant, the Japanese ink paintings of brush strokes to create plants is just extraordinary. So looking at those and the way that Chinese or Asian masters are defining plants and animals is extraordinary. I bet there's something on YouTube where you can look up calligraphies of landscape, because they're super beautiful. And Jen, if there's something that you have specific questions about, ask me.
Well, I'm just trying to interpret something.
Yeah, I know. I take a variety of brush sizes. I take a thin one and a thick one. Most of the time they are the round brushes. They're not the flat brushes.
Okay.
I think I do a petal with each breath, if that makes sense. I like take it in, maybe I hold it, then the brushwork, because it's so much of a meditation. I think looking at plants really, really trying to see and evaluate how that green goes and stops with a leaf overlapping it and then continues on, and then that particular bulge in the middle and then tapering off to the end. You have I think 5 different leaves. Let me see your plant again. Yeah. Gorgeous. So when you are going into your plants, can I see it one more time?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I know this is
I just hold
crazy
it.
to kind of go back and forth. So if it's coming from that center, you have that dark ground of the brown. Then you have those things coming out, those wavy things. And you have this center from the leaf so that the leaf goes from the center and grows outward into those just brilliant shapes. God, they're alien.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent like at least 15 seconds on the plant and then just one down on my paper, because the answer is not on my paper, right? That's an abstraction of my marks, but the answer is always of the plant, and the shape of it is always in front of you. So you can train yourself to count maybe 10 seconds of actually looking at the plant, studying it, seeing how it goes from that stem and shooting out in those veins before it forms the 3 or 4 or 5. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those edges. When the little things grow, are they tucked in and then kind of open up?
No, they sort of come out as almost like a whole little leaf, and the leaf just gets bigger.
Beautiful. So it'll go from that center, from that part that it connects with from the stem, and then does that growth thing. And for you specifically with these beauties, you're going to need a variety of brushes for the little ones, and for the big ones, it'll be a different brush, a different round size brush, especially for that space. It's almost like a hand that goes, except with webbed things in the middle.
Right.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful. Let me see the painting.
Oh, wow. What do you think?
Okay. All right. We have the center.
like
No,
alien
stop laughing. There's not anything to laugh about. It's doing great. Okay. So you have a contrast where the plant has the inside of it is the lighter part and the outside of it is the darker part. Get some light. Now that you have the overall structure, Jen, it's a nice painting. Get a lighter color and do the same thing, because the stems, I think, are lighter than the background, or should be.
Yes, I see that. Okay.
And that will get the dynamic. And then you have half of the leaves also going to be that lighter color because of the form. So you've
Right.
already jumped a step ahead, my dear.
Oh, yeah? Oh, I'm sorry.
Good for you. No, it's not. It's not a bad thing. It's just you're
Oh.
more advanced. Will you stop it? Okay. Good job.
Juliana would like to know if it's a pumpkin.
What?
Juliana would like to know if it's a pumpkin. Yes, children.
Are you drawing this?
I'm painting it.
I want a pumpkin. Why is it orange?
That was my brown I made. All right. It is different.
Sorry, you probably see my rear end the whole time. You know, you pick the hardest subjects. This is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
So give yourself a pat on the back, even if it resembles something like a plant.
Okay.
I'm serious. You have to do that.
Okay.
It's imperative. It's these beasts. We know our math. We as human beings know our math, and so people are relatively simple because you know it. It's ingrained in your hands. It's ingrained in your memory. Plants, you have no idea. No idea. And we haven't drawn them since we were little, maybe even not then, because we didn't study plant world and nature. So today's success is remote likeness of a plant. There's maybe the essence of a plant, okay?
Well, it somehow that reminded me of the incredible likeness of being, the remoteness of a plant.
What happened in there? What happened in the, remind me? It's been so long.
That movie, and I don't remember it anymore. I have to go back and watch it, but it was so lovely. The incredible likeness of being.
Yeah. It's a Kundera, right? It's I read the book and I saw the movie, but so long ago. I was in my 20s or something.
I just know I loved it.
Yeah, it was amazing. Amazing. Just like these. Just like these.
You know, but I think about, I don't mind if I have to paint over now. I love that idea, actually.
To paint over?
Yeah, putting it down, and then just painting over if necessary.
Just enjoy. I think what I came to when this weekend was that I just love the act of painting itself. The act of painting is so it just makes me happy. And
right.
And I always fussed about, oh, I don't have enough canvas, I don't have enough tools, they cost too much and all that stuff.
Yes.
But when I looked around and I have 100 old paintings lying around, like, what are they waiting for? They're waiting for some epiphany to kind of, I just want to get my hands and on the wet paint and smear it and push it and play. And I lost that sense of play because I thought it's always had to be something or for someone. It's a particular person or whatever. And I'm done with that.
But you know what I love is that you're so connected to the human form. It's there in every painting anyway right now.
It's going to be. I mean, it is. And I can see human faces and human bodies in everything. If I in our marble shower on the stairs, I can see it. I can see faces popping. It's like Da Vinci with the urinals. I see a face everywhere.
It is everywhere.
Because it's the math, right? The math that we know and have ingrained. But it's nice to let something else speak and not just the human. Is where I'm going, I think.
What I love is I love layering the paint. I'm always happy to mix color, even though it's not perfect. That makes me happy. I love playing with that.
Color is amazing, and I think understanding color. I'll do next time for maybe the gradations because it's a love thing. It is color is so, and the nuances of it that just when you can have a million neutral colors that are such beautiful shades. And it's just a tiny amount of particles again, like it's a tiny effect on the yellow or the green or whatever, and it's a completely new thing. It's extraordinary. It really, really is. And I think that it's time not to take it for granted. I mean, we see I guess the reason we see so much green in the world is because we've been primed by our eyes to see a predator. So if there was a jungle and we'd see 100 different shades of green, then the puma would stand out because it would be a bluish black. So I guess our eye can see, and I don't know how to paint all that green. I have no idea. I have no idea of the shades of the different greens. You know, our tubes come with one, and so you kind of play. But what is interesting to me about color is always putting a little bit of the complement inside the local color, especially when you're looking at nature. So if you're looking at a green leaf, seeing a little bit of red in the color.
I love that. I love that. Yes,
Because
that's
it makes it
the
more,
whole time. Yeah.
yeah, it just makes it, I think all the colors are, and I think if we're looking at it scientifically, I think all the wavelengths go into that thing. And now the interesting thing about color is, I guess the object takes all the color in, and whatever bounces back comes to see our eye. So the green bounces back, but is the leaf originally red? Do you know what I mean?
I think about this all the time, Teresa. All the time.
Do you think about these
I
things?
do, because I wonder what color things really are.
Right?
Because there's so much color our eyes aren't capable of seeing that is there. And we
Right.
don't see it. We never see it because our eyeballs can't master it. It just doesn't work for us.
It's amazing. It's amazing to think that it's our perception of what color looks like. But I mean, is the
And
plant
think
really
about,
green?
have you heard about if you've grown up in a certain area with certain greens, you can see those greens very, very easily and very well, whereas somebody else who perhaps hasn't grown up with those greens can't identify them easily. They can't see what you're seeing, which is just astonishing. It's the brain has been able to kind of define and hone in very closely on what you see. And so I would imagine somebody who grows up in a city and is less exposed to any of these natural colors may see it so differently.
It is fascinating, isn't it?
I assume over time you can train yourself to really see it. Whatever that means. I don't know what that means. What is to really see it compared to another person? Yeah.
I mean, that's the fascinating part. Like, we can be doing this for the rest of our lives, and we probably should be.
Exploration color. I just, phenomenal.
Okay. Back to the plant.
Okay, I'm stopping.
All right. Where was I? What number leaf? And that's why when we're painting, it doesn't really matter what color I think you use initially for the ground. So you can have a tremendous amount of play and exploration before you kind of come to a local color, right? Like it, I think whenever you look at skies, for example, in paintings, the blue sky is underlaid by an orange. If you want a really blue sky, you do an underpainting in an orange color. And that makes the blue really kind of really shine. If you go to maybe any museum and look at maybe Monet's art, or even any landscape painting really is underlaid with this umber, reddish, orange ground. And you draw, just like you would draw the peony that we did in a pencil, you would lay the ground in reds and oranges. And then on top of that, you would go with your local colors of, that's why Da Vinci painted his grounds always brown, and he didn't finish his painting. So now we can see the brown underpainting. But that's the ground of all things, and color kind of sprouts from that. So when you're starting to paint, you can have fun underlaying the whole painting in yellow first as the next step from white. Then you can go into your oranges and your reds. Then you can get into browns. And after all of that dries, that's why oil painting, I think, and you could totally do that with acrylics too. And in fact, you could do it faster. But there's something about having an underneath shimmer of color underneath, and then the atmosphere is sitting sort of on top.
The depth,
So,
isn't
go ahead.
it? Creates that depth.
Yeah, there's something that color plays, that it's alive. It's like just like nature. It's this yeah. So that's why for me, looking at the reds and the blues, there's something about reds and blues being the basis, just like in our blood, warmth of the atmosphere. I don't know what it is. I'm not a scientist. I have no idea.
I know, this is what I say to people too, is that color is such a science, and I don't know the science, but I just know what I feel.
Yeah.
That's all I can go on.
Well, but that's isn't that interesting that all I can do is feel.
Yes.
So much about my painting is now about feeling rather than knowing. We prioritize knowing, but it's the feeling that is what communicates.
That's what connects people. Absolutely. It's that emotional level, for sure.
Yeah.
It's
So
like a
not
good
necessarily
movie.
the intellect that always kind of runs things.
Yes.
So I'm going to go in with, on top of my light, now that I have my light branches or light strokes on the painting, I'm going to go in with the darks of each of those petals. There's a light section to the plant, there's darker sections, and I need to get some of those darks in there. And I'm going to do that with a blue, because I think that will be a good basis for the color that's going to be coming in and interrupting.
Do you know that movie called One?
It sounds familiar.
It's about this, I don't know if I think he was a movie director perhaps, but he was very well known. He did a lot of the Jim Carrey movies. And then he had a terrible biking accident and he was in horrific pain. And through that pain, he started to search for what are the answers. And he did this incredible journey. And one of the things he showed was these experiments that they're doing, scientific experiments on the heart, and how the heart always knows before the brain knows. Just a couple of seconds before any decision, the heart is actually the one that knows. And it's fascinating to watch. It's a documentary.
What is it on Netflix or some other?
It's been a long time since I watched it. I think it used to be on Netflix. I'll Google it and find out. And
it's called One?
I don't think it's The Power of One. I was just like doubting myself. It's The Power of One or One. I'll look it up.
Okay.
And send it to you. It's really fascinating. And he talks to interesting people and, what is their take on the universe and the meaning of our existence and so on. And it's brilliant.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I love it. And the other interesting thing that came to my mind when we were speaking about color and the sky is there's a journalist who did an experiment with their first child. They didn't tell the child what color the sky is.
Yeah.
They'd do paintings together and they would paint this thing above them, but nobody would mention what the color was. And the child never, ever said the sky was blue and never painted it blue. Did not identify blue at all.
Yeah.
And isn't that interesting? Until they got older and they heard that the sky was blue, and then they started to accept that the sky was blue.
Because it's not. I mean, today it depends. It
It's a
ranges, right?
translucent, right?
Yeah, exactly. You have, and actually, blue. It's an interesting. No one identified. I guess in the Greek times in Homer, they didn't identify sky. They didn't have blue. The word blue in
Right.
any of the
Exactly.
Odysseys. They had white, yellow, red. They mentioned all that, but blue is something
Exactly.
that they didn't really see.
That's
Um,
right.
and
Yeah.
identify until very late. The Egyptians knew blue because they knew how to make it. And they said, based on how a culture could make the color, and because blue was so rare, it was hard to make, then they identified and labeled it with color blue. But when I was teaching children in New York 20 years ago, we would talk about what color is the sky when the sun is setting. Orange, yellow, red, all of that. What color is the sky when it's stormy? Gray and blah, blah, blah. What color is the sky? So there was like myriads of colors in the sky, and not just an identification with blue's the color for the sky, you know?
And he traced the color, the history of color, like you did with the saying that you had to have that color in the culture in order to identify that color, and it didn't always exist.
And blue was the last color that was identified of all the ancient cultures, because you could always get the ochres, the yellows, the reds, but
Right.
blue, you have the sky. Actually, I think Homer described the ocean as red.
Mm-hmm. And
Weird.
was it indigo that was the first blue?
Indigo was in the place of blue?
No, was that the first blue that was discovered? Was it indigo?
I don't know. I don't know. I have this book that someone gifted me over the holidays that I love. It's I forgot if it's anyway. It references all the histories of the various colors. Color Speaks or something. It's not. That's not the title, but I'll show it to you. It's a great book.
Okay.
I bet you have it, or I bet you know it.
No.
How's the painting? Can I see?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. It is the plant-esque.
Yes.
So, and also a lot depends on your brush. Okay. So thinking about the plants and actually the little seeping orange in between the leaves all adds to the color of the leaves. I love that you left some of them not sort of fully, because I think on your plant there is a little bit of orange underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know this plant. In order to contrast what you already have, I think you can push the orange to be much, much darker so that the leaves can suddenly stand out. So if you put a dark blue and just painted the negative space, then I think I would leave some of that orange because it's beautiful. It's kind of seeping through. But if you would like a contrast so that the petals really stand out, you can think two ways. You can either have it very, very dark or very light. I think I would go with the dark.
Okay.
And paint the negative space the brown.
So wait a minute. So paint this negative space over here.
Yeah. With a thicker brush. So it's not, it's just, you know how you'd use one brush stroke or to do that circle, like a thicker brush?
Yeah.
I would come in and still think about it as one kind of space. Okay. Not a bunch of little sort of dots or think about it as a one continuous kind of underlayer. And if you wanted to read as an underlayer, if you take the brush stroke and go into the center of the plant, it'll be going in this direction, right? From here and from here, the paint will be coming in around the leaves in this direction so that it acts like a directional line to give the viewer a sense that there's depth and space going down there. So
And so, sorry, Teresa, so it's a brown, not a blue, that you think I should do?
I mean, if you put on that will neutralize, you have an orange. So if you wanted to put a blue on, it would neutralize the orange, the complementary color for blue. So blue is fine.
Okay. All right. Great. So are you all finished? Is that it for you for the teaching?
I am starting a class for art history tomorrow morning, and that's going to be a summer course that runs for a month until June 26th. So I'm done with my semester for the spring. I'm starting a class for the summer semester, and then I think I go back. I haven't heard from the job just yet. I'm still
Oh,
fingers crossed.
no news is good news. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I'm sort of biting my tongue because I really want to quit the gallery thing, and just focus on my teaching and painting. But I won't know. I don't know. We'll see. But it's the summer course is for the same school, so
Okay.
something.
That sounds
Yeah.
exciting.
It is. It is. It's good. It's good.
Do you like teaching art history?
What?
Do you like teaching art history?
I do. Yeah. And in fact, we do the theory with the practice. So they're going to be, we're going to be focused on non-Western art. We're going to be focused on African art, Japanese art, Chinese art, and other cultural perspectives, which will introduce like looking at a piece of work not as an object, but what was the function? Like what would they, because the different cultures think about objects differently, right? So the Nkisi figure, which is like a figure from Africa that shamans use to pierce nails into, and based on, and then put some sort of medicine in the structure of this sculpture. It was a sculpture, it was an object, but it was much more than that. It was like a power figure. And just as they start thinking about objects and materials in a different way than the sort of capitalist setup, I think I want to do that with them. And then we're going to do a lot of, using everyday materials, because I think they won't have supplies. So paper and pencil, and we'll do some drawing and painting as well as looking at the artwork. Because I think I can't remove the theory from the practice.
I love it. That makes it so much more interesting.
I hope so. I haven't fully done an online semester like this, and it has definitely its challenges because just like with this, right? I'm not very good with moving the camera and actually showing you, and demonstrating in it, and as
Just comes with time, I think, just practice.
as professionally as I can. Eventually, this will get a little bit more stable. But for now, this is what it is.
Yeah, I think everybody's learning a huge learning curve on how to do all this.
It is, yeah. But we're embracing it. I mean, there's nothing to do but that. I think so be it. I mean, I'm happy, I'm happy. Look, it connected me to you. It's great. It's great.
One of my new favorite museums here in Paris is the Oceanic Museum that has all these amazing artifacts from the oceanic cultures. And upstairs they had a little bit of an African exhibit as well. And I came across this fascinating thing that I think you would really love too. And I can't remember which African culture it is, but I took some photographs and I'll share them with you. But basically what they do is an artist will hear from a person whose family member passed, and they will create this 3-dimensional sculpture in a way of the person's life from the stories that they are told about the person's life. Just beautiful.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. What a
Lovely.
nice way to deal with death and to deal with the continuum, like to write down stories of the person who's passed.
Yeah. I'll send you. I took a couple of photographs, and I took, the information too, so which culture it is.
Wait, and you said they take their what from the person?
So they take the stories from the person's life, and then they create a little 3D story, more than one story. So it's this little sculpture that they make.
Oh, that's great.
Person's life. So they, I'm just going to make this up. If they, I don't know, herded the goats and they had a family, and all those things, all those elements will then be put together in the sculpture.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I was really struck by it.
We need to redefine how we interact with death, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that, I bet you there are people who would love that movie there. Having kind of, it's like a really, you have something in a person's life, something concrete almost.
Say that one more time, Jen, just because
So you really have something concrete of their life,
Yeah.
really in representational.
And to have something to hold and to have something that has so much meaning, that connects to that person in such a powerful way. And then, yeah, the object's not just an object. The object is so much more than that. It has an it's almost like it's the Nkisi figures are they have a spirit of their own, and they believe it. They believe that even missionaries believe them. That's why they burn them. They're terrified of them, because there's some
energy, some consciousness. Somewhere.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I think so. And I think what's so wonderful, because this is, you're talking about your grandfather, and you bring out this beautiful object, and it's all there, and then you can tell the stories, and you can remind people.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Very cool.
I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing to be able to see and think about the form of a plant and be able to, in our brain, with our hand, translate it to represent something like that form in paint on a two-dimensional surface. I think it's miraculous that someone can look at the painting and see plant, where it's just an interpretation. It's just a couple of brushstrokes. It's a couple of particles on the page. And to that, I think is the miraculous thing, is to understand that you can communicate visually just by moving particles. I think that's so cool.
No, it's astonishing.
Then again, it's not about having the precise. I mean, you can, through the history, you can look at plant painting or still life painting, and they can be as precise and have a little butterfly or ladybug on the thing. But that's more frustration to me than and more about the painter showing off rather than getting like an essence of the thing. Like Manet painting the dead peony is so stunning, and it's not. It is clear that it's just sort of brushstrokes kind of laid down, but the way that they lay down, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
The intelligence behind it.
Right.
And not that intellectual intelligence.
No, it's the other one. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, exactly.
Oops, sorry, I think I got something in my fingers. I have 10 more minutes and I have to go make dinner.
Yep.
Oh, I love seeing those. Let's see. Would you pull back from me a little bit, Teresa, so I can see more? Oh, yeah, beautiful.
It's so funny. It's just a couple of brushstrokes.
Yeah.
It's nothing more than that, right? Yeah, no, and it's play. Talk to me about what you guys are doing. So you said Juliana's back in school?
Yep, so today she's back. She finishes the 26th of June.
Okay.
So
And at
her
that point,
latest, right?
okay.
Did
Um,
Elaine finish?
Alenka's school has been canceled until September. I mean, they said early on that kids are not going to school until after summer holidays.
Oh, I thought they were still doing online. So they just stopped everything.
They're doing no, I'm sorry. They are doing everything online. They're just not holding in-person classes.
Okay. Yeah, they're trying to open the schools here. They want to open them, but we'll see if they actually able to do that.
So Juliana's doing schooling from home.
Yes, on the internet.
Okay. So it's the same. I was thinking that it was a bit fast to kind of open up the schools. Is she going to do online schooling until June, or is there a possibility that they'll be going in person in the next coming weeks?
They want to. The school, if they get the go ahead, then the school will open, and the way it'll work is that every grade will go back for a half a day for 2 days a week. So it's really nothing at all.
Half a day, 2 days a week.
So one day for a week.
So will they rotate the students where half of them will come one day and half of them will come on another?
I think so. That's why. Yeah. It seems like it's so much work for the teachers and everybody just to do such a small amount of time.
Yeah.
And then they do exams, and the exams will be done at home. So that maybe go 4 times if they do open in total before they close down completely for the holiday. So I don't know.
Wouldn't it be a good idea then to have Juliana finish her education online anyway and just go back?
The problem is the time difference.
Yeah.
They should have to go up at 2 and 3 in the morning.
Okay, right.
That last long. And I don't want to push her to do that.
No. Well,
there's no good answer,
It's so interesting to be in this flux of uncertainty.
Yes, constant. I mean, we are anyway, but we think we're not. But now
we know clearly that. Yeah, now we're clearly not.
We can't escape it now.
It's so interesting how some people, I don't know but in the States, how some people.
Mom, can I call Emma?
Yeah, in about 10 minutes, babe.
What?
I'm still on the phone. You can take my phone. You can take my phone over there and have Alenka call Emma. Okay? Plus, you're supposed to do some education too today after lunch. Remember, we're going to do reading. Alenka's so self-disciplined. Like she gets her homework done on the weekends. Jonas, on the other hand, like forget it. He doesn't. Joe doesn't really care about school.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So when you have 2, right, to see what the really are.
Many times we think about with Will if we made the right decision. As we are up at night and dealing with another tantrum, and you're like, well, we could have had such a quiet life now because she's so grown up.
But still there can be strife.
Yeah. Right.
You're wondering about that decision.
Well, right, life, right? It's always going to be this up and down. Jen, how are Mondays? Are they good for you? Are they schedule wise? Are they okay? Or are they?
Next Monday. Next Monday is the 1st. She'll be on holiday again for the day. There's so many holidays this time of the year. So next Monday may not be so great.
Okay.
But yes, Mondays are generally good because she's generally had Fridays off when she has been on. Except for next week. And is it still okay for you, Monday?
Yes. But that's fine. So we'll do it in 2 weeks and not next week. Yeah, Mondays are fine. Definitely fine. Totally good.
Do this.
Sorry.
And overall, you still want to do this? It's okay for you?
No, this is great for me. I love this, and first of all, I just love talking to you. I am going to pause on the painting because it's getting a bit rambunctious in here. But yeah, no, it's great for me. I like the connection, and I also like the philosophy, right? To get a like-minded person. After I see the news with all the sort of American, like they went on holiday and decided to go on the beaches and not do social distancing and, just pretend that it doesn't exist.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, we want to enjoy life. That's fine, pursuit of liberty or give me death. Well, they'll get the death part, like.
Coming soon.
Right? And even just the sort of neglect of then, with all the elders that they have in their life. I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand the mentality. So it's so good to talk to you because the mentality is so different.
No, right? Or like-minded is so much easier.
I just don't understand how people could think otherwise. I'm not very tolerant.
No, you shouldn't be. Because people's lives are at risk, so I think it's okay. And, what do you even call this person who runs America? This president, we don't have to call him anymore. That thing that runs it.
Yeah, right. It's so, but it's so, I don't know. It's such an interesting time because we have no idea where it's going to go and no idea how things will proceed.
She said I'd call you now.
Great. So we're going to have lunch and then we'll do school and then Emma will call. Yeah, I think.
No, before school.
Before school, Emma will call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said an hour.
All right. Sorry, Jen.
All right. Thank you so much.
Oh my God.
Now turned to like a brown-green splodge, but
let's see. Okay, excellent. Okay, so Jen, you know what? Actually, hold it. I love it. Okay, so hold this on your wall and put it up somewhere and just look at it again. I really, the blue halo is also doing something excellent. So there's naturally something wonderful that's happening in the painting while I choke my son. I love the painting. Can we see the painting again? Can I show you, Janash?
Oh, of course. It looks like an island with palm trees.
Yeah. No, it looks exactly, it's a plant. Will you stop? Put it up for a while. Put it up somewhere in your space.
Okay. I will.
It's not Ingrid, sweetheart. It's Jen.
I thought it was you.
That's all right. You can call me Ingrid. I don't mind. What's the name?
Have a wonderful couple of weeks, and best to you and Juliana. Just stay strong, okay?
Don't you have a necklace of these?
Okay.
Don't you have a necklace?
Beautiful. I like your studio space. Take this some tape. Put it up.
This is the.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, put it right underneath that lamp. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful.
All right.
It looks like a Parisian apartment.
It does. It looks like a treehouse. That's what I like.
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
If you're going to be anywhere in quarantine, treehouse in Paris sounds good.
I'm up for that. All right. Take care.
Love you. Take care. Bye-bye.
My blue soccer ball.
No idea.
I put it on your desk.
Oh, yeah.